Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in today's video I want to talk about one of the biggest controversies, or at least biggest talking points in wrestling right now, which is WWE counter-programming AEW. So far we've seen 4 AEW pay-per-views get counter-programmed: Double or Nothing, All In, All Out and Forbidden Door. These have been with 3 NXT PLEs, so Battleground, Great American Bash and Heatwave, and of course WWE's main roster show WrestlePalooza. And on all 4 occasions I would confidently say that AEW put out the better product on the night or the same weekend. And I think that's what it's all about. I think it's about providing the best product. Now, I understand that competition within wrestling is a great thing and can help both companies out. We've seen it many times, and of course, most famously, the Monday Night Wars, Nitro versus Raw, WWE versus WCW. But you all know the story of it. I'm not going to go through it all. And there seems to be one particular difference with how this is going compared to that time. And of course, the first thing is the fact that it's not going straight head to head, it's not weekly shows, it's only really pay-per-views. And apart from millions and millions of dollars, how this would really work out for both companies is that both of them put out relatively good product all the time. So their best is going up against, so WWE's best going up against AEW's best, and then we can see between the two which is better and which people prefer. And that's kind of the point, I assume, of this war that's going on. But this time around it's not quite like that, because AEW are indeed putting out fantastic pay-per-views, whereas WWE and NXT aren't. And it's not to say, and not to get confused, the NXT shows were good. They were, or at the least good. They weren't great, they weren't massively memorable compared to the AEW ones. But if that's last weekend or just the weekend before, WrestlePalooza showed that when they put the main roster up against AEW, where WWE should be showing out the most, they were looked down upon massively, and they didn't put out the better show. And AEW pretty much had the landslide majority vote from the majority of people that I saw anyway, from content creators to people I talked to, saying that AEW put on the better show that weekend. WrestlePalooza for WWE was supposed to be the pay-per-view where they stuck it to the enemy and really showed out, and instead they pretty much crapped the bed. AEW, I don't know, in the space where WWE should have kind of been getting all the praise and getting all the good stuff and saying how their ESPN deal is so great and how this is going to be the next big thing and whatever, we kind of saw that same space praising AEW more, and WWE kind of getting more negative comments about the prices of ESPN and how much people are having to spend, especially in America, on WWE premium live events as well as weekly shows, and getting NXT as well. And yeah, AEW took, from what I saw, a lot of praise from this, which is obviously huge for them, but for WWE will be seen as a massive insult. And what's even more ironic is with the WrestleMania 43 announcement, it now gives AEW the opportunity to counter-program WWE, but later on in the day in America, so that more people have got an opportunity to watch wrestling in America at WrestleMania weekend, as well as all the indie shows being able to gravitate and all the conventions be able to go on as well. Now, of course, what I fully expect is that if AEW do counter-program WrestleMania 43, which I feel like they should do no matter what, WWE could just easily put on a stand and deliver. Maybe do the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia at that same time, which I can't imagine they'll do, but it wouldn't shock me if they did. Or maybe put on some kind of TNA, AAA, NXT mega event that would, again, counter AEW and take people away from that, or make at least people choose. But yeah, I don't know, it then gives AEW a opportunity to not only upstage WrestleMania, but really show how good their product is on a weekend where it should be all about WWE. They could give out what I assume would be Dynasty, because that's their usual April pay-per-view. They could put a mega show on there, really show out for AEW, and then people might even tune in if they put some kind of offer on where they get it for a bit cheaper. People would tune in because the weekend is all about wrestling. and then people might end up going to AEW more often than WWE, which would obviously be a massive loss for WWE, or they'd become like myself where they just watch both. But yeah, it kind of felt like that weekend was a real big proving ground for why WWE are counter-programming AEW so much, and they kind of should have done a lot better in my opinion. WrestlePalooza was built up to be this huge event, which I fully believed it would be. I definitely assumed going in that it was going to be one of the best events of the year, and it turned out very much disappointing and not being that case. So for me, like, WWE have two options here, which is to continue counter-programming AEW, but putting on a much, much better product than they did at WrestlePalooza, and especially like, with NXT as well, like with the fact that the NXT shows also got kind of forgotten about behind AEW. For me, it shows that like they need to improve. Even though NXT's great and doing it, I'm not shitting on NXT at all. NXT is fantastic. I don't get how people just don't watch NXT, to be fair. But especially when they put on main roster stuff against AEW, they need to be like some of the top tier shows of WWE's year. And unfortunately, if WrestlePalooza is anything to go by, then they're clearly not that bothered, even though they want to like intentionally counter-program AEW. But you know, or of course the other option is to just stop counter-programming, let the fans enjoy everything and do what they were doing before, which is essentially separate weekends. So one weekend in a month is WWE pay-per-view, another month is AEW pay-per-views. And that would be a lot easier for fans to watch. Even people like me. I mean, I cover everything, and I'm very fortunate that I can and got time to cover everything. But also, like, I can imagine it's very hard for streamers to be able to watch, or they have to choose one or the other. Some choose AEW, some choose WWE, and some, end up by only having to choose one because they maybe have deals with others, or I don't know. I mean, it's making a lot of assumptions, but I imagine streamers who make money off of these streams and watching pay-per-views, they're losing out because they have to choose one or the other. So yeah, for me, like, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'm up for a good discussion about it in the comments. Maybe some stuff I've said is wrong, maybe it's all right, I don't know. But I just feel like the whole kind of program thing needs to stop while WWE can kind of stop doing it, and it just be seen as like a phase of what they did instead of being like a consistent thing. But at the same time, we've seen reports that in 2026 WWE look to be doing this a lot more often, which if I was WWE, would really not do, just because like I feel like more people are going to be talking about AEW than WWE those weekends, which would be bad for them. But yes, I do put in the comments below what you think. Do you like the video if you enjoyed it? Do subscribe for more wrestling content. I'll see you guys in the next one.